In life, there are seasons when silence becomes your greatest strength and focusing on your own growth becomes your most powerful tool. Not every battle requires a reaction, and not every noise deserves your attention. True peace comes when you learn to value your own progress over proving yourself to others. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom in action, because when you choose to remain silent in moments where the world expects you to speak, you are exercising a strength that is far greater than the loudest voice in the room. It is in those moments of intentional quiet that you protect your heart from speaking words you might later regret, that you guard your mind from reacting to provocation, and that you give yourself the opportunity to see the full picture before making any move. Silence allows you to listen, truly listen, not just to the words of others but to the tone, the intention, and even the unspoken truths that linger in between sentences. Many times wisdom is not about knowing all the answers but about knowing when not to answer at all, when to hold back and allow time to reveal what you could never force into the light. In a noisy world where opinions are thrown around carelessly, and every situation seems to demand a quick response, choosing silence becomes a rare and valuable act of discipline. It's not about avoiding confrontation out of fear, but about understanding that not every situation requires your verbal energy, and not every disagreement deserves to be met with a counter-argument. Sometimes the most profound statement you can make is to say nothing, to let your peace speak for itself. When you stay silent, you give yourself space to pray, to reflect, and to seek guidance before acting. You create room for clarity to enter your mind, for calm to settle in your spirit, and for wisdom to shape your next step. This kind of silence is active, not passive. It's a deliberate choice to keep control over your emotions rather than letting them control you. People often mistake silence for surrender, but in reality, it can be a strategic pause that allows you to move forward from a place of strength rather than reaction. It teaches patience, and patience builds resilience, and resilience shapes character. A person who has mastered the art of silence is not easily manipulated, because they are not rushed into making decisions or statements based on temporary emotion. They watch, they wait, they weigh their options, and they respond only when necessary, and when they do, their words carry weight and purpose. Silence also guards relationships because many conflicts escalate not because of the original problem, but because of unnecessary words spoken in haste. Holding your tongue can save you from damage that might take years to repair. It also keeps you from revealing too much to people who may not have your best interests at heart, because not everyone who listens is listening to help. Some listen to use your words against you later. Choosing silence is a way of preserving your dignity, maintaining your inner peace, and ensuring that your actions and words align with your values, and in doing so, you build a reputation for being thoughtful, composed, and wise beyond your years. Protect your energy by limiting unnecessary conversations, because every word you speak carries a piece of your mental, emotional, and even spiritual strength, and when you give that away carelessly, you are left drained without even realizing it. Not every dialogue is worth engaging in, and not every discussion brings value to your life. Some conversations are designed to pull you into gossip, negativity, or endless debates that do nothing to move you forward. By setting boundaries on where, when, and with whom you share your thoughts, you preserve your focus and protect your heart from distractions that can derail your progress. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself completely. It means becoming intentional about the spaces you allow your voice to enter. Sometimes people talk simply to fill silence, and in doing so, they waste precious time that could have been used to learn, build, create, or By limiting unnecessary conversations, you train yourself to value time as a treasure and words as an investment. Every conversation has an atmosphere, and if that atmosphere is filled with complaints, cynicism, or idle talk, it can shift your mindset without you even notice. Words are seeds, and when you allow too many toxic seeds to be planted through the wrong kind of conversations, you eventually see the fruit of negativity in your own thoughts and actions. Protecting your energy also means knowing that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Your dreams, your struggles, and your plans are not meant for public discussion with anyone who happens to be listening. There are moments when silence is not just wisdom, but a shield, a way to keep your vision safe from doubt, criticism, or envy. Limiting unnecessary conversations gives you the emotional room to hear your own thoughts, to process your own feelings, and to seek God's guidance without outside noise clouding your clarity. It is a way of living with purpose, understanding that the more you talk, the less you listen, and the less you listen, the less you learn. Protecting your energy is also about being selective with the people you surround yourself with, because some individuals leave you refreshed after a conversation while others leave you exhausted. The difference lies in intention. Uplifting discussions pour life into you while pointless chatter drains it away. When you choose to limit your involvement in conversations that don't serve your growth, you naturally begin to create space for deeper, more meaningful connections that truly matter. This discipline also strengthens your focus, because your attention is no longer scattered across dozens of trivial matters. Instead, your mind is free to concentrate on your goals, your growth, and your inner peace. Every moment you save from empty talk is a moment you can invest in prayer, learning, rest, or productive work, and over time those small moments add up to significant change in the quality of your life. Invest in self-growth rather than chasing validation, because the approval of others is a moving target that can never fully satisfy your soul, while the investment you make in yourself yields returns that last a lifetime. When you live for validation, your worth is placed in the fragile hands of other people's opinions, and you find yourself constantly adjusting who you are to meet their expectations. This cycle is exhausting and unfulfilling, because no matter how much you try, someone will always find fault, and their approval will always be temporary. But when you shift your focus to self-growth, you take back control of your life and commit to becoming the best version of yourself for your own fulfillment, not for applause. Self-growth is about developing your character, your skills, your mindset, and your spiritual foundation so that you can stand firm regardless of who is watching. It is learning to compete with who you were yesterday, rather than trying to outshine someone else today. Chasing validation often leads to decisions made out of fear or insecurity, wearing masks to please people, hiding your true voice to avoid criticism, and even compromising your values just to fit in. But the path of self-growth requires courage, because it means you are willing to face your weaknesses, work on them, and endure the discomfort that comes with change. It also means you are willing to be misunderstood for a season while you are becoming stronger, wiser, and more focused. The more you grow, the less you need constant reassurance, because your confidence comes from knowing you are progressing toward your goals and living in alignment with your values. Investing in yourself also teaches you patience, because real growth takes time, discipline, and persistence. You may not see instant results, but every book you read, every skill you learn, every habit you build, and every prayer you whisper plants seeds that will bear fruit in the right season. This kind of growth also attracts the right people into your life, not because you are seeking their validation, but because like-minded individuals are naturally drawn to your authenticity and strength. Chasing validation can be addictive, because each compliment feels like a reward, but it leaves you empty when it fades. Self-growth, on the other hand, builds a deep and lasting sense of purpose that no one can take away from you. It is the difference between renting your worth from others and owning it within yourself. It shifts your perspective from how can I be liked to how can I become better, and that shift changes everything. When you invest in yourself, you stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you are enough, because you already know your value and you are committed to nurturing it every single day, through discipline, learning, reflection, and consistent action. Observe more, react less, and understand deeply, because the ability to truly see and process what is happening around you is far more powerful than rushing to respond without full understanding. Observation allows you to gather information, study patterns, and discern the motives and intentions behind words and actions. When you take the time to watch and listen before reacting, you place yourself in a position of strength, because your choices are based on insight rather than impulse. Many conflicts escalate simply because people react too quickly, speaking or acting without having the full picture, and this often leads to misunderstandings, regret, and unnecessary tension. By choosing to observe first, you slow down the process, giving yourself the opportunity to evaluate what is being said, why it is being said, and whether it even requires a response from you at all. Observation is not passive, it is active awareness, where you are fully present in the moment, paying attention to both what is obvious and what is subtle, the tone of voice, the body language, inconsistencies in the story, the emotions that may be hidden beneath the surface. Reacting less does not mean you are indifferent. It means you are disciplined enough to choose your response carefully, weighing the potential outcomes before you speak or act. It means you value your peace and your purpose more than you value winning an argument or proving a point in the heat of the moment. The deeper your understanding of people and situations, the more intentional your decisions become, because understanding builds empathy, and empathy allows you to navigate relationships with wisdom rather than with pride or ego. Often the most successful people are those who spend more time listening than talking, more time studying than assuming, and more time analyzing than criticizing. By observing more, you start to notice patterns in human behavior that help you avoid being caught off guard. You see the signs of trouble before it fully unfolds, and you are able to prepare or adjust your course accordingly. You also develop a stronger sense of discernment, which protects you from manipulation and helps you make wiser choices about who and what you give your attention to. This way of living also allows you to conserve emotional energy, because constant reacting can be exhausting, leaving you drained and unfocused. When you observe without rushing to respond, you give yourself the gift of time to think, time to pray, and time to align your response with your values and long-term goals. Understanding deeply also fosters patience, because it reminds you that not everything is as it seems on the surface and that people often act from a place of pain, fear, or misunderstanding themselves. By holding back your reaction and seeking to truly understand, you avoid adding fuel to unnecessary fires and instead position yourself to bring clarity, stability, and wisdom into every situation you encounter. Let your results speak louder than your words, because in a world where many are quick to make promises, declare intentions, or project an image of success without tangible evidence, there is something undeniably powerful about allowing your actions and achievements to be the proof of your dedication, discipline, and authenticity. Words are easy to say and they can be persuasive, but they often fade if they are not backed by consistent action. When you choose to focus more on doing than on talking, you build a track record that speaks for itself without the need for self-promotion or constant explanation. Results cannot be faked for long. They are the natural outcome of the habits you cultivate, the sacrifices you make, and the effort you put in day after day. Letting your results speak means resisting the urge to defend yourself when people doubt you, choosing instead to let time reveal the truth through the tangible progress you've made. It means not wasting energy trying to convince others of your worth or capability, but instead channeling that energy into the work that will ultimately make it undeniable. This principle applies to every area of life: your career, your relationships, your spiritual walk, your health, and your personal growth. In your career, results come in the form of skills mastered, goals achieved, and problems solved. In relationships, they show through the trust you build, the respect you earn, and the consistency of your actions over time. Spiritually, results are evident in the transformation of your character, your faithfulness in trials, and the peace that others can see in you even when life is challenging. Letting your results speak also builds credibility, because people naturally trust those who can show proof of their abilities rather than those who only speak about them. It removes the need for unnecessary explanations, because evidence speaks a language that everyone understands. The beauty of this approach is that it quiets the noise of comparison, because instead of looking at what others are saying about themselves, you stay focused on producing work and living in a way that aligns with your values and goals. Results are also more difficult for critics to dismiss, because while opinions are subjective, tangible outcomes carry weight that is hard to argue with. However, achieving results that speak for themselves requires patience, because meaningful accomplishments take time, and in a fast-paced culture that celebrates instant gratification, waiting for your work to bear fruit can feel uncomfortable. This is why discipline and persistence are essential: showing up consistently, even when no one is watching, and putting in the effort even when the recognition has not yet come. Results-driven living also demands that you remain committed to excellence in private as much as in public, because integrity in the unseen moments often determines the quality of what eventually becomes visible. It is in the quiet hours of preparation, the unnoticed acts of effort, and the choices you make when no one is keeping track that your results are truly shaped. People may not see the struggle, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, or the discipline, but they will eventually see the outcome, and that outcome will reflect everything you invested behind the scenes. Letting your results speak louder than your words also frees you from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation through constant explanation. When you are results focused, you no longer feel the need to argue with doubters or prove yourself through debate, because the evidence you produce will stand as your defense. Over time, people will remember not what you claimed you would do, but what you actually did. This mindset also shields you from the temptation to overpromise, because your focus shifts from impressing people in the moment to delivering in the long term. You become more intentional with your commitments, ensuring that what you take on is achievable and aligned with your true purpose, so that when the results come, they are authentic and sustainable. Letting your results speak also inspires others in ways that mere words can. People are moved by examples they can see and touch, stories of endurance that are backed by real progress. Your life becomes a silent testimony, a living proof that hard work, persistence, and faith produce fruit. It also challenges others to reflect on their own approach, pushing them to shift from talking about dreams to actually taking steps toward them. The discipline to let your results speak is rooted in humility, because it requires you to be more concerned with the work itself than with the attention it brings. It is a quiet confidence that says, "I know who I am and what I'm capable of, and I don't need to prove it with noise." This humility does not mean downplaying your achievements. It means you understand that true impact comes from the substance of your work, not the volume of your words. It also guards you from the emptiness that comes from chasing recognition without the foundation to support. Many chase applause without putting in the consistent effort to achieve something worthy of that applause, and when the praise fades, they are left with nothing to show for it. By focusing on results, you ensure that what remains after the noise dies down is something solid, something meaningful, and something that continues to speak even in your absence. This approach is also deeply aligned with spiritual principles, because in many faith traditions, the focus is not on boasting about what you will do, but on faithfully doing it and trusting that the fruit of your labor will be evident in its own time. Even in scripture, the idea is reinforced that by their fruits, people are known, not by their intentions, their claims or their appearances. Results are the fruit, and fruit takes time to grow. The process may involve seasons of obscurity where no one notices your work, but those are often the most critical seasons, because they are where the roots go deep and the foundation is laid. When you let your results speak louder than your words, you align yourself with the principle that true worth is proven in action, not in speech. You commit to the long game, knowing that the quiet strength of consistent effort will outlast the temporary excitement of bold declaration. You understand that while words can inspire in the moment, results inspire for a lifetime, because they provide undeniable proof that vision, discipline, and perseverance lead to tangible, lasting impact. Discipline your mind to focus on your own lane, because the greatest battles you will ever fight will not be against the world outside but against the distractions, comparisons and doubts that try to pull you away from your purpose. In a culture where it is so easy to look sideways and measure your worth by what others are doing, achieving or receiving, the discipline to keep your eyes fixed on your own journey becomes one of the most valuable strengths you can develop. Staying in your own lane does not mean you ignore others completely. It means you do not allow their path to dictate your pace, your direction, or your sense of worth. Everyone has their own timeline, their own set of challenges, and their own calling, and when you start comparing, you risk either becoming discouraged because someone appears to be ahead, or becoming prideful because someone seems to be behind. Both attitudes are dangerous, because they take your focus off your own growth and place it on things that do not ultimately matter to your personal progress. Disciplining your mind to focus means setting mental boundaries against thoughts that lead you into envy, competition, or distraction. It requires you to constantly remind yourself of your goals, your priorities, and the reasons you started in the first place. This kind of discipline is built through intentional habits, starting your day with clarity, avoiding unnecessary noise that pulls you into comparison, and being mindful of the content you consume and the conversations you engage in. It also means being comfortable with moving at the pace that is right for you, even if it seems slower than others. Some of the most meaningful growth happens in seasons that look still on the surface, but are deeply transformative beneath. When you stay focused on your lane, you are able to invest your energy fully into your own development, rather than scattering it by trying to keep up with everyone else's rate. Distraction is one of the greatest thieves of progress, because it takes your limited time and mental capacity and spends it on things that yield no return. Every moment spent worrying about someone else's success is a moment taken away from building your own. Discipline of the mind also requires patience, because you have to trust that the seeds you are planting today will grow in their own season. Rushing to catch up with someone else's harvest will only leave you exhausted and frustrated. Focus also allows you to become excellent at what you do, because mastery comes from repeated intentional practice over time, not from constantly switching lanes to chase whatever looks appealing in the moment. When you refuse to be swayed by what others are doing, you give yourself the space to fully explore your own strengths, refine your craft, and discover the depth of your potential. This is not always easy, because the temptation to compare can come subtly, especially through social media, where people showcase only the best parts of their life. If you are not careful, you can start believing you are behind or not doing enough, even though you are exactly where you need to be for your journey. This is why mental discipline is critical. It keeps you grounded in truth, reminding you that success is not measured by speed or public visibility but by faithfulness and steady progress. Another important aspect of focusing on your own lane is learning to celebrate others, without losing sight of yourself. When you can genuinely rejoice in someone else's breakthrough while still staying committed to your own race, you show maturity and security in who you are. This removes the poisonous mindset of scarcity that whispers there is not enough success to go around. Instead, you understand that everyone's journey is unique, and someone else's win does not threaten your potential. Training your mind to focus also involves being vigilant about the internal voices you listen to. Doubt, fear, and insecurity will try to convince you that you are not capable, that your dream is too big, or that you should give up because progress feels slow. These voices must be countered with intentional affirmations, prayer, reflection, and reminders of how far you have already come. Staying in your lane also requires humility, because you will have moments where you must admit you don't know everything and be willing to learn from others without feeling inferior. It's about taking inspiration and guidance from others' success but filtering it through your own calling so that you apply it in a way that aligns with your path. The discipline to focus is not something that happens naturally. It must be trained like a muscle. The more you practice bringing your attention back to your own race, the stronger your mental focus becomes. Over time you will notice that you are less affected by what others are doing, less shaken by trends, and less desperate for external validation. Instead, you will find a deep sense of peace in knowing that you are moving in the direction you are meant to go at the pace that is right for you, with the lessons you are meant to learn along the way. This kind of focus brings clarity, because when your eyes are fixed ahead instead of side to side, you can see more clearly the opportunities, lessons, and milestones that are part of your specific journey. It also builds resilience, because you are no longer easily discouraged by temporary setbacks. You understand that every race has uphill climbs, sharp turns, and stretches where progress feels slow, but you also understand that those are the moments that strengthen you for what's ahead. Focusing on your own lane also means learning to filter feedback, taking what is constructive and letting go of what is rooted in negativity or comparison. Not every opinion should have access to your mind, because too many conflicting voices can pull you off course. Discipline allows you to stay true to your values and your vision, even when external pressure tries to push you in a different direction. In the end, your journey is between you and God, and your responsibility is to steward it well without being distracted by the noise around you, and to keep showing up in your lane with consistency, determination, and faith that the path you're on is leading exactly where you are meant to go.